call this meeting to order. The first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out tonight. It's training, so we'll do our best to try and get through this in an expeditious manner. Our first order of business is the consent calendar. You have before you the council minutes from April 3rd and April 19th. And we have the approval of claims totaling $177,131.77, which includes electronic checks 1803E through 1806E, and paper checks 133434 through 133465 and 133468 through 133493. Is there any items that any council member would like pulled off and discussed separately from the consent calendar? Councilman Maroney? No. Councilman Bakken? Councilman Mitchell? No. Councilman Wall? No. Councilman Bakken?
Gary too, no.
Gary. All those in favor of the consent calendar indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Consent calendar is approved. Our next order of business is the public hearing for the vacation of the Channel Road up in the Valley of Contentment. As you were aware, last February we approved the petition to start the process for the vacation of the road, and that amounts to approximately a couple hundred feet that terminates at the shore of Lake Osawatomie Key. In reviewing the petition, that we noticed that it was signed by 11 of the 14 property owners in the plot, and it was also signed by the abutting property owners to the proposed vacation. Notices were sent out, and it has been reviewed by our planning and zoning department. So at this time, I will be starting the public hearing, and first I would like to hear from the petitioners. If there's a representative for the petitioner, please state your name. And
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Kurt Porter. I'm an attorney with Severson Porter Law, and I represent the petitioners, John Norris, who I believe you will hear from. I just wanted to introduce myself, but my preferred method would actually be to have everybody speak first. I've taken the liberty of talking to a lot of people, including Mr. Miller from the DNR, as well as the fire chief from Pequot, just to kind of get where they're coming from and why their opinions were the way they were. But rather than hear from me, and I think everybody's here, and if they would like to speak, I would rather them say it to you, and then come in at the end and summarize my thoughts and everything, if that's okay with you, Mr. Mayor.
okay, I just don't want it to extend, way too long. So
I don't intend for it to be very long either.
So I would like to, when you come up, if you want to come up and speak, please limit your talk or your comments to 3 minutes or less.
Thank you. I never in my wildest dreams believed I'd be in front of a council, let alone Breezy Point. But thanks for listening. My name is John Norris. I live at 10512, or I have a property there, 10512 Hilltop. I purchased that property in 2013. However, I've been coming to Breezy Point for almost 70 years, almost as long as I've lived. My family aunt owned a place there, 2 great uncles, both on Hilltop Drive, so we'd come up every summer. I'm very familiar with the property I bought because it was owned by my great uncle. We called him Henry, Uncle Henry, so called Uncle Henry's place. I was very much aware of the easement, no problem. And I think in the early years it was unused, grown over since the snowmobiles, and getting to the four-wheelers. It's been used primarily in winter. This past year, one of the residents on Channel Drive came down and began clearing it out, removing brush, mowing it, and it's starting to widen out, mostly into the Wagner property. And sand was dropped, and then finally a dock went in that location. So rather than the access became more a point of destination, and it did encroach on the Wagner property. So when Nola Wagner came over, she asked, what's going on there, thinking it was me, and I set her straight that it wasn't me. And so at that point, it began the ball rolling. What's going to happen here? Is this going to become a destination? There's only 16 feet there. There's not a lot of room. You can't go in there and you can't back up without turning on either my property or Nola's property. So it's fairly wide, and it's usable in the winter, which is, I think, fine. I have no problem with that. But during the summer, we have mussels there, the zebras, and of course the Eurasian milfoil is on that lake. So what I would suggest is that they get closed in summer. It's unattended. That dock was there all year, and really nothing, nobody paid any attention to it, and we wouldn't want boats and things coming in there and impacting that area. So the question is just whether or not it could be vacated, but perhaps with the idea of just closing it when the lake is accessible by water rather than ice.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak at this point?
With regard to the channel.
Come up to the microphone, state your name and address. This is,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council. My name is Bob Knoll. I'm at 32292 Violet Lane. I'm representing the Lake Osawatomie Property Owners Association. The only thing I'd like to state is this lake, as you know, has been in the headlines. We seem to be one of the first ones with Eurasian milfoil, one of the first ones with zebra mussels. We now have curly leaf, and I think part of it, you know, we can all speculate how that happens, but the biggest concern is who is monitoring that lake. We have access, and the DNR tries and works at our areas where the boat ramps are, but when we have accesses like this, it could create concern because they're not monitored. So I think in the health of the lake and the concern there is we got to take a look at these things. And so the association is very much in favor of vacating this and making sure that we do not have any more damage to this lake. It's a pretty lake that's going to go downhill real quick if we don't take care of it. And I just wanted to get the voice of the Property Owners Association and say we've got to look at this. Thank you very much for your
thank
time.
you. Anybody else speaking for the petitioners? Come up to the microphone, please. State your name and address.
My name is Al Hayes. I live at 10660 Hilltop Drive. I am in the Valley of Contentment on behalf of John Norris and Wagner's. You know, I came to discuss the vacation of the property at the end of Channel Road
Okay.
up here. Are we supposed to state our
I mean,
case?
this is your time to speak. This is the time
Oh,
I want
okay.
the petitioners
Well,
to.
I was under the impression that there was someone named Lori Dowling from the DNR that would be here
Right,
tonight.
that's going to be farther on. Right now, I'm listening to the petitioners. You are the people that
Oh,
are
okay.
petitioning
Well, I
for the
represent
vacation.
approximately 15 people down in the Valley of Contentment. I've lived there for 30 years. I agree with John and the access route at the end of Channel Road. I believe it should be vacated. It's just not a large enough area to support, you know, on and off traffic like the DNR says. There's really no room to turn around down there without trespassing. The Hilltop Drive that is shown on the survey prepared that was submitted it's actually an easement road down there. Hilltop Drive is some distance back. It's kind of a problem area. The wintertime, plowing is of concerns. The survey shows it at 16 and a half feet. The easement road that I'm have to comply with, as well as all the other neighbors in the Valley of Contentment, says 20 feet. They're talking about 16 and a half feet. In wintertime, there's plow mounds. You can't even get by. People want to park down there and fish. We live down there. We have to go by. There's no room for emergency vehicles to get by. It's just not practical as an access. I've got some other information regarding back in 1940 when they developed that area. Channel Road, stopped at the platted Hilltop Drive that was never built. Over the years, it's just been a little community road for mom and pop cabins, and now there's a whole bunch of people that want to develop it and put docks in and drive off of there. And, I represent, like I said, everybody in the whole valley down there has voiced their concerns over it. The Planning Commission had a meeting on 4/11. I guess we don't get to come and voice our concerns there, but I did watch the video on YouTube. Again, I think that would have been the time to have some discussions with regard, because the Planning Commission as well as the DNR have said they don't recommend vacating the property. I think the people in the immediate area have something to say about it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else from the petitioners?
Dave Gillum, my wife Barbara's here. We're at 10556 Hilltop Drive. We're the second cabin in. We've owned our place this summer 52 years. And we live next to the Norrises of the first place. And over those 52 years have been wonderful years. We spend the summers up here. We're seasonal like most of them. And we do share our road. Half of our property is split in half because we have our neighbors using the road. So that's fine with us. But we've always had it so serene and beautiful in the summer. And I guess I have no, like Mr. Norris said, I have no problem with the winter because we're not up there. Most of us are not up there in the winter. If they want to take snowmobiles and have access. But the summertime, I'm concerned about traffic, about the potential, what's going on up behind us. And I've paid taxes for 52 years, never missed one, never asked for one thing, never came in, made any trouble. But I do ask you to consider to restrict the usage of that in the summer and to anybody else. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else for the petitioners? So if you'd like to come up and,
I guess it's me, and my preference would be to be at the very end, but if you want me to go now.
I mean, it doesn't appear like anybody else wants to come up and talk for the petitioners. And
I meant at the very, very end.
the very,
after
very, well,
everybody, but it's your show, whatever you want to
yeah,
do.
right now I'm taking the input from the petitioners, and then I'll open it up to the floor for everybody.
Okay.
Both.
Well, then I will go after everybody goes on after everybody.
Okay, well, I think
That's okay?
what I'd like to do right now is, as you're representing the petitioners, I would like to have the opportunity for the
Sure.
council members to ask questions of you at this
Absolutely.
point.
Yeah.
And then I will open it up
Sure.
to the people
Excuse me.
that are not the petitioners, are basically on the, either want to speak for or against it.
Yeah, absolutely, and as long as I can answer any questions during that
Okay.
general open, that'd be
Yes.
great. Well, as you have heard, and Mr. Mayor, I appreciate your efficiency. I've been in a lot of city council meetings, and some go on longer. But I don't want the efficiency to get in the way of really properly considering this petition. And I'm not accusing that, of course. But what I am saying is I recognize the fact that right now I have a letter that was submitted to you by the DNR that opposes our petition. I have a letter that was submitted by the Pequot Fire Department opposing our petition, and I recognize what that means and really the uphill battle that we have here. But I want you to understand what I have come to recognize and realize today, and that is I think a lot of that stems from a misunderstanding of what we're really trying to accomplish here. When I first met the Norses and what we first tried to set out to do was really address this dock issue. As Mr. Norris pointed out, last summer, someone, I couldn't tell you who, and that's not really what it's about, but some private citizen put their dock out on this public access, a public access which is controlled by the city. And it sat there all summer. Now, my problem isn't that there was a dock there all summer, except that it is that there was a dock there all summer. What that means to me and what that means to the Norrises is that we have Lake Osseo, which we all recognize is a lake that is infested with zebra mussels, curly leaf. I just learned that tonight. I didn't know that's a new one, and Eurasian milfoil. We have this severely infested lake, and now we have one more access point that's basically unchecked. And we know that because last summer there was a dock there all summer. We can't have a lake like this that has an unchecked, unsupervised access point. It's not good for the lake itself, and it's not good for the surrounding lakes either. My firm represents the local LID. We helped them, we helped establish that, and we help it continue. And we've made really great strides with Lake Osseo and helped it improve to really the quality that it is today. And we'd hate to take a step backwards. The purpose of the petition today, the focus of it really is the invasive species. It's not about where the land goes after the road is vacated. I think the total width of the road is 16.5 feet. Both the Norses and the Wagners have plenty of property and really have no intention of using the road to expand their houses or anything like that. In fact, to demonstrate the point, I'm not sure if Mr. Norris really made this clear or not, but we would be happy to amend the petition to not necessarily vacate, well, it would be a vacation of the road, but then to, in turn around and grant an easement for access in the winter. I read the letter submitted by, and I'm terrible with names, but Miss Blixt, who noted that there's access in the winter for snowmobiles and ice fishing houses. We don't have a problem with that. That accomplishes both goals here. One goal is to provide the citizens with access to the lake, but also to limit the aquatic invasive species as that impacts the lake. As I have come to learn today, you can't completely eliminate aquatic invasive species in the wintertime. It doesn't go down to 0%, but I think we can all recognize using common sense that it does reduce the likelihood that further aquatic invasive species will be transmitted. And then after I read the letter from Mr. Nelson, the fire chief from Pequot Lakes, I actually spoke with him today. And again, I'm not looking to put words in his mouth, so I'd invite him to come up and correct me if he so feels the need. But I understand that really the need for the fire department is to access it really only in the event of an emergency if there's a fire down there. We don't have a problem with that. I mean, if there's a house on fire, let's get them in there. We'll give them an easement for that year-round. I mean, we're not trying to get in the way of that. What we're trying to accomplish is very, very simple, and it does serve a public purpose. We're trying to protect the lake. We're trying to help I thought what we were trying to do was help the DNR, notwithstanding their letter. We're trying to help them protect the lake by limiting the number of accesses to the lake. I'll point out that the city actually owns a lot not very far away. It's another access point, yet another access point to this lake. So we're not eliminating all the access points in this area. In fact, I will also point out that, as the council probably knows, there's a campground just down the way. They have an access point, and then just beyond that is actually the DNR-controlled access point. So we're not taking away anybody's right to the lake. We understand that people do use the lake in the winter, and we want to continue that. Our goal here is simply to assist and try and limit the aquatic invasive species as it enters here.
Okay.
Thank you.
So at this point...
Oh, any questions? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so please stay here for a second. Questions by council. Councilman Barone, do you have any questions for the petitioners?
I'm going to hold off for right now.
Okay. Councilman Mitchell?
I'll wait till we get through the discussions.
Okay. Councilman Ball.
I'll follow and hold off as well.
Okay.
Same.
Councilman Buckin. Okay.
Well, after you hear from everybody, I invite you to ask me any questions you might have. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. Okay, now at this time, I'll open up the public hearing for anybody who wants to weigh in on this issue specifically. And again, I would like you to limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. And we will take you each one individually. Please come up to the microphone, state your name and address or who you're representing. And please allow us maybe some time to ask some questions specifically. So the public hearing is open for all those who would wish to speak to this topic, for or against. Does anybody want to come up and speak? Okay, we will, so now this would be your time. This is the time for you to get up and say anything more that you wanted to.
No,
Because,
I think I said my piece, so
Okay, that's-
if the council has any questions for me, I would take them.
Because
But
now I'm going to close the public hearing, and then we will be discussing amongst ourselves and way through the, as long as you're up there.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, if I may just real quick.
Yes.
Just to make sure that I'm understanding what the public's all here for. I mean, there's a number of you that have not come up to speak. Nobody's against vacating the property. This is your time to make sure that if you are against vacating the property, this is the time. If you're for it, this is the time to let us know. Just making that clear.
And that's a very good point, and I want to share with you very, very quickly. Today, when I called a number of people, including the fire chief, and what I've come to learn is that through my explanation about what we're trying to accomplish here, it's not about vacating the road for just to vacate it. We have a goal here, and that is to protect the lake. And I think a lot of people are on board with that, which is why we might have gone from somebody might have been against it before, but now they understand what the goal is, and that we're willing to do the easement in the winter and certainly grant the fire department anything they need to access the lake. I think that's when people are like, oh, okay, it's fine. I don't want to put words in their mouth.
Right, and basically, at this point, what I'm trying to come up with is the specific reasons why we should grant this vacation.
If that's a question directed at
That's
me.
the question directed at you, is speaking for the petitioners.
Yeah.
What are the reasons, because we have to state in our resolution, what are the reasons why we think this is a good thing that we should be doing?
And, Mr. Mayor, I think the reasons are pretty clear. There's three. There's zebra mussels, there's Eurasian milfoil, and there's now curly-leaf.
Okay.
And we need to
Lumped under
protect
invasive species. Okay.
lumped under invasive species. And
Limit.
the reason, the public what you have to analyze here is the public purpose. What public purpose does it serve? Protecting the lake and protecting surrounding lakes is your public purpose, okay? And I think that, in and of itself, is reason enough to grant really, this is a modification to the overall use as it is today, or what it could be done. I think, quite frankly, if we wanted to boil it down to its most simple form, what we are doing is recognizing how this road is used today. It's not really used in the summer. It's used a lot in the winter. We don't want to change that. It could be used by the fire department. It hasn't, but we don't want to change that either. We're not changing any of the current uses, and what we are doing is we're protecting the lake. I don't know if you can get much more of a public purpose than that.
Well, and that's what I'm trying to,
Yep.
Get you to state, and
Yep.
these
No,
are
that's
what
good.
these are what the purposes are, because
Yep.
I have to put into our resolution what the specific purposes are.
Absolutely, and it's a good question.
Okay, so it's basically, boiling it down, it's limit impact on the lake.
Yeah,
That's,
the overall impact of the lake.
right, okay,
Yes.
thank you. One more chance, is there anybody else that would like to speak for or against?
Again, I've lived down in that neighborhood for 30 years. There's a whole bunch of 50-foot plots down there, and back in the day, who only knows in 1940 when they developed the Valley of Contentment, what the intent was for that road. That was the point I was trying to ask about this Lori Dowling Hanson from the DNR, who said, came up and took a quick look at this access. I've been there for 30 years. It, until recently, has hardly ever been used, but it's only It's only 16 and a half feet. In the wintertime, it's at a dead end where there's an easement road, not even city property, where people need to turn around. There's no place to park. There's plow mounds all over. There's people that live down there. There's emergency vehicles that need to get in there, in addition to milfoil and all this other stuff they're talking about. I'm just talking about practicality. I clean the platted, or the unplatted Hilltop Drive, the easement road through there. I've done it for years. It's a real pain in the end, and when we get people parking trucks down there thinking they have, you know, this is a public access, I don't believe back in the day when they did this, it was ever thought of as a public access, and those are some of the comments I had wanted to present to her. But again, it's a small amount of area. It hasn't had a whole bunch of use up until this time, and now there's a big
pretty
ruckus.
much what
But-
you
and
told
and
us.
Wagner's own the adjacent,
Yeah.
adjoining
Yep.
property. They're a pillar in the community around here. They have no desire to do anything.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
You made a comment earlier that you're looking for 3 items. Okay, and
I'm
as I-
looking for any number of items, yes.
As I see it, Joe, does a very nice job, aquatic invasive species. We've also talked about the majority of the owners have said, we would like to have this vacated, which would be another one. The other one, as I listen to what's being talked about here, is we have docks and lawn chairs being put out there. The fire department wants access so they can get to it, but if nobody's there taking ownership of the docks and the lawn chairs, it's going to affect the safety of the lake, the safety of the people there, because these things are usually left there and nobody's taking care of it. So it becomes a safety issue.
Okay.
I think those are some of the things that we should think about. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
thank you.
Brian Samansky, 31558 Harvest Road, citizen of Breezy Point. I'll just refer to your statement here. You guys just talked about there's a dock down there. There's lawn chairs being left. It's a hazard to safety. Was this concern ever brought up to anybody other than amongst yourselves?
I did bring it up to the city hall when the doc first appeared. But nothing happened.
Okay, thank you. Other than that, my opinion, I would state that I'm not fortunate enough to live on a lake, and therefore to have a decent access away from one far end of the lake, as Osawatomie Keys public access. This access does serve a purpose for other people, whether or not it's winter or summer. It does serve a purpose. That particular area, I would not foresee summer action actually taking place a whole lot, but I would recommend that we keep it open for the winter use.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Wade Miller. I'm the Parks and Trails Area Supervisor for the Department of Natural Resources, and I'm here on behalf of Lori Dolling Hansen, the Regional Director out of Grand Rapids. And I would just like to acknowledge the letter that Lori Dolling Hansen drafted and sent it to Joe Rudberg in regards to the Department of Natural Resources opposing the road vacation. And I've talked to Mr. Porter about this as well. And what I've heard here tonight is it sounds like it's not used and it's primarily used. And long story short, this is public property and someone had the foresight to dedicate it to the public forever. And folks that aren't fortunate enough to own property on a lake have the opportunity to get to that public water of the state, Lake Aussie. My office, my staff, we manage the public water access on Lake Aussie. And as folks have articulated its control, DNR doesn't control it from the perspective of we don't allow people in or don't allow people out. User registration dollars through boat and fishing licenses and various funding mechanisms have allowed the opportunity for that access to be there. We do try and be stewards of the public water access, and we have aquatic invasive species monitorers and decontamination folks through our Ecological and Water Resources Division. I would also like to offer up, if the city council wished, as we do have partnerships with the city of Breezy Point on a public water access here just down the road. If the city wanted to formalize this this access dedicated to the public, I want to be clear that it's not a public water access as we know it in the DNR where there's a dock and a ramp. One of the best enforcement items is a well-signed, well-maintained, well-used facility. And so I'm here, if you folks have any questions on behalf of the DNR, I'd entertain any of those, but the DNR does oppose the vacation. We don't know what uses there will be 100 years from now, what kind of sport there might be 100 years from now, but once public property is lost, it's probably lost forever.
See, and then I'm glad you came up, because that was one of the questions that I had, and I was gonna discuss it amongst. This is not a quote-unquote public access. There's no ramp there, there's no boat launching. It's just basically a road that goes, it terminates at the lake.
Correct.
Okay. That's what I wanted to get clarified. Thank you.
Do you folks have any questions?
Anybody have any questions
Not
for the
this
DNR?
time.
Okay.
Thank you.
We might call on you later, though.
No, I was going to say, I think one of the discussions we had was talking about the duties of maintaining an access like this. I mean, it's not a public access, but it is an access that's
Right.
available to the public. And I think Mr. Miller certainly had a lot of things that were enlightening to me, and I think it would be helpful for the council to hear about, you know, the responsibilities and duties of keeping this access open if we're going to do that.
The Department of Natural Resources and the City of Breezy Point, we do have a cooperative agreement for the access down here. And there's funding available not only for development and rehabilitation of an access, as we did a State Park Road Account project with the DNR and the city. We also have other funding mechanisms. There are grants available for aquatic invasive species monitoring and enforcement through the Lake Association. Many of our lake associations have volunteers that can be at formalized public accesses. And for every piece of property that's touching a public water, that is access, controlled or not controlled, and anybody can allow their friends, neighbors to take their watercraft in there unenforced, probably unmonitored. And so if the city wishes to entertain any sort of summer public water access or winter public access, the DNR is willing to entertain any partnership formally.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Yep.
My name is Barbara Gillum, and I've been on that lake for 70 years. And I never even realized there was an access there until later when snowmobiles and stuff came in. But the one thing, you were looking for reasons to close it or have a determination of why it should be closed. And I would like to state that all of the people who live down that road already have a severe aggravation of a road that's not really a road, but it's an easement across all of our properties because Hilltop Drive was never established. And once it got established, we still keep using it. Nobody cares. We're kind to each other. We know our neighbors. And having an access like that, I think one of the purposes you should consider are the people who live along that road and the Wagners who've lived there for years and years and years. We expect to pass this property down to the next generation, and we would like consideration from you for the aggravations that we have with the people that come down and just put docks down. It used to be just woods, and all of a sudden it got cleared out. And so it was kind of a shock even to us, and we've been there a long time. Thank you for listening
Thank
to
you.
me.
My concern is just a little bit different. I live on 32407 Channel Road. My name's Lenny Rao. I live adjacent to the other public property that's there. But my concern comes from the expansion that's going on, it seems like, with the campgrounds, RV campgrounds there, and what they might start doing with these properties that are available to the public.
Okay, thank you. Is anybody else? Thank you. Please.
My name is Mark Bocciagalupi. I am also with the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources, but I'm the area fisheries supervisor. So I just wanted to take a slightly different tack from my colleague Wade Miller on the Parks and Trails side of the aspects of the duties of the Department of Natural Resources. Some of my job duties include representing fisheries interests and natural resource interests. My training is more as an aquatic biologist and a fisheries biologist. So on the fisheries interest level, I have to say that I've been to a lot of city council meetings and township meetings, and sometimes, and you guys know this very well as council members, but sometimes on issues, the people that are very directly affected by an issue are the ones that show up to a meeting, and there's somewhat of a silent majority of people that have a little bit less of a stake, but a stake nonetheless, and they're very numerous. So from the fishermen's perspective, many of whom are not here tonight, maintaining public waters, some sort of public water access to a lake is beneficial. One of the things mentioned in the letter that we just want to highlight for the public discussion is the additional safety aspect that this road location provides. In the winter, as you guys are well familiar, the stream flow is running from the Kimball chain through Ossea and out the creek that goes towards Pelican Brook. And there is a narrow constriction to the east of the road vacation proposed here, and that is an area where that flow has the most effect and opens up ice earlier than other parts of the lake. So having a location where ice anglers or any other recreational user can access the lake that is west of that narrow location is a strategic advantage, or there's additional value there in having that location. I've heard some concerns about AIS tonight, or aquatic invasive species. I'll just mention that the DNR has to work with this issue in a lot of different areas. And so far, our line in the sand has not been to close public accesses. It's a very difficult balance to walk, but our mission is to maintain public fishing and recreational opportunities while still having a level of protection. And that's why you've seen the expansion of the boat inspection program, or the watercraft inspection program, not just through state inspectors, but through county and lake association and volunteers and the various network of. So we are working very hard on the aquatic invasive species, and in fact, some advocates would mention the fact that milfoil and zebra mussels are already in Ossea as a reason why that actually lowers the severity of the AIS issue, because those are the big aquatic invasive species invaders in Minnesota right now that are of great concern to people. So one of the concerns about bringing more in an area that some have said has not used very much, I think is maybe a little bit lower on the spectrum. So some of the other concerns I've heard tonight, I think, could be addressed without vacating the road. I've heard some issues about maintenance or snow plowing, or the placement of docks and how things are used, and it would be my opinion that vacating the road isn't the way to address some of those other issues. So,
Okay.
and I'm available for questions.
Thank you.
Thanks.
My name is Joy Mistursky. I'm at 8829 Oswinnamakee Road. I'm not near this, but I have been up on the lake for 33 years, and I just have to question the DNR person about his statement about the AIS issues. I thought that spiny flea and invasive crayfish and quagga mussels and other things are like just around the corner, because they're in lakes north of us. So I'd really like to pick his ear about what he has to say about the AIS not being on this doorstep.
Anybody else?
My name's Tom Nelson. I'm the fire chief of the Pequot Lakes Fire Department. As is stated in the letter that I put in, that we would like to keep that as an access for a water drafting source for us. As you know, we don't have fire hydrants all over the community like big cities do, so we rely on these access points to get water to fight fires. And once this leaves the public domain, it's very hard to maintain that access. Sometimes people start narrowing the roads, we can't get the trucks down there, or they start putting barriers up there that we can't efficiently get our equipment in. So we would like to see this access for the fire reasons stay open.
Okay. Thanks. Thank you.
I'd just like to respond to the DNR about accommodations. It's 16 and a half feet wide. You can't turn around a snowplow without encroaching on private property.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak? And hopefully it will be something new that we haven't already heard. Okay. I will close the public hearing. Commissioners, now it is our turn. I will start with Councilman Maroney.
I always start with mine. Mr. Mayor, I heard a number of comments tonight from opposition to for. Aquatic invasive species was brought up. Neighbors are in agreement with the property being vacated. We've also heard from public safety. We've heard from the Minnesota DNR representatives. And we've heard from the property owner directly east of the property wishing to be vacated. And the comment that is sticking out to me at this point is that perhaps the vacation is not the right way that they wanted to go about it. It was restricting use, that they're perfectly fine with it during use of the winter time. We have concerns with aquatic invasive species, and that's where my mind is sitting right now, is that what we have in front of us today, and I know we've talked about modifying the petition, but what we have to act on today is what the petition is asking.
That's correct.
To vacate the parcel. I don't think that's the right way to go. However, there might be some modifications that we can do for the parcel to protect the property going forward. Now, I haven't fully thought about that process because I was focused on vacating it, yes or no. You know, we talked about the aquatic invasive species. It's not being monitored. However, is any boat landing monitored 24/7? As we had on a drop link, so many of you spoke. We don't monitor private properties for entering or exiting the lakes, so we don't monitor those. So to fully go into where we want to be, I don't know where that's going to go. Do we restrict the access? Do we put a gate up during the summertime and open it up for the wintertime? That might be something that we can discuss. But for tonight, my mind is, do we vacate the property for good, or do we keep it as is? And that's where my mind is having to decide tonight.
Thank you. Councilman Mitchell.
My thought is remove the dock and gate the road in the summertime. I was going to ask the fire chief, are there other roads that are gated that you have keys to in case of a fire that you can get in so you can get water?
We do, and it creates problems because sometimes the homeowners or whoever the landowner is changes the lock and you don't get the correct key. So then we end up having to cut the lock or something like that, which just delays their time.
But you have the means to cut the lock in a matter of seconds, do you not?
Yeah.
My thought is, I agree with Mike, of restricting summer use with a gate.
Yeah.
Forest Service does it to a lot of their roads, DNR, and maybe the DNR would be part of that gating process, I don't know. But my thought is once you give something like that up, it's gone forever, and we do have 3 pretty strong recommendations not to give it up.
Okay. Anything else? No. Councilman Ball.
Yeah, I think I'm in a similar wavelength, maybe more of Councilman Maroney, in the fact that I agree with Mark's comments in that this seems not to be the appropriate avenue to go about addressing the prevailing concerns here. Namely, there's lawn chairs, there's maybe things we can do about monitoring invasive species, but there's other ways that we can go about that without giving up a public access to those who don't live on a lake or have access to a lake because they know some family member or friend that maybe lives on a lake. And I also agree that there are some strong public safety concerns here, leaving it open for the public, including Mr. Nelson's comment with regard to fire safety, and then also, with the open water access point. And also had the letter from excuse me, I don't remember her name, but, another member of Breezy Point too that mentioned the same issue.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Bakken.
In agreement with the three colleagues prior to me, a couple of observations. Compromise, I hear. First thing that came into my mind, well put. Second, and shortly, I want to address the city administrator. Control, I hear a lot of control. Obviously there is no control, and there's going to have to be some control, the way I see it. The ownership and City Hall, Joe, what are your observations there? I'm curious. That thought came up.
As far as what?
City Hall getting involved with this.
Well, it's whatever the council wants to do. It's a policy issue.
I'm looking for a lead from you, one way or the other.
If we can deal with a gate or some way of restricting that, if there's a problem with a dock being put out there that has no business being there, those sort of things.
I'm done.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
In summary, what we have before us is a petition to either vacate or not vacate an easement that runs through people's property down to the lake. Unfortunately, a long time ago, when this easement was put in place, it is there. And so we really only, under this petition, we really only have two choices. We can either uphold the vacation or we can deny it. You're not talking now.
You have a third option.
You're not talking now. Okay. The petition that we have before us is pretty much black and white. And the fact that an easement runs through there and is disturbing the people that live there is, at this point, an unfortunate situation that I think we could deal with because the easement does belong to the city, that we can restrict access through there through other means other than a vacation petition. So that said, at this time we have Resolution 1710. It's in draft form right now, so basically what we do is we will entertain a resolution to, I think as I'm speaking here, to deny the vacation based on the reasons that are already indicated in the draft resolution. And we would not be adding we would be eliminating the section that would be granting the vacation. So I'll entertain a motion to approve Resolution 1710 to deny the vacation based on the conditions that the right-of-way was dedicated for public use. It provides multimodal access to the lake. The vacation as proposed provides no public benefit to match the value of the current and potential public resource. And although the access is generally undeveloped and the DNR does not advocate improvements, it provides lake access. Cannot anticipate what needs may exist for public access on this lake in 100 years, but once this valuable land leaves public ownership, it is likely gone for good. proposed road vacation negatively impacts access to public waters. The public has the right to use all of the public waters in the state. The public includes the persons other than those in the immediate vicinity. Based on those findings of fact, I'll entertain a motion to approve Resolution 1710 denying the vacation.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Is there further discussion? Councilman Bakken?
No, sir.
Councilman Ball?
Just a comment about adding something about the public safety concerns with regard to the fire access and.
So you would want to add
Public
The
safety and
water.
finding of fact.
Right.
point 5, provides the existing property, the existing easement provides access for public safety for, in the case of emergency fire, water access.
Right.
Okay.
I'd amend my motion to include that amendment.
Then your second?
Second.
Okay. So the resolution 1710 as modified. Councilman Bakken.
No, no further comment.
Okay, I'll call the question. All those in favor of resolution 1710 denying the vacation, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? The resolution is approved to deny the vacation. And I would further add that I think we should start investigating what we need to do and the mechanism and the process to address the citizens' concerns of people coming down there, building docks, etc., to assuage the those concerns of the abutting citizens.
And Mr. Mayor, I was gonna, you beat me to it, but is that going to planning and zoning?
That would have to go to planning and zoning
Recommend
recommendation
that to be looked at by planning and zoning.
work through that. Next item of business is the open forum. Anybody wishing to bring anything before the city council at this point may do so. And you can have your...
Take a break.
Take a break.
You have, of course, the option to table for 30 days to allow me to amend the petition to work with your attorney. That was an option.
Yeah, and...
So it wasn't yes or no, it was...
You could have interjected that.
Well,
yeah.
Good.
That was my point when I stood up. You were there not.
Should have been your 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, but right now, the city council is still in session. We're not taking a break. This is open forum.
We don't get breaks.
Yes.
At this point,
We're not.
that's the way I understand it. There really isn't.
We're still in session. City council is still in session. If you're going to have conversations, please take them outside. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, my name is Lenny Rao again. I live at 32407 Channel Road. I'm just wondering if there's anything and what the process would be there on Ottawa Trail and Channel Road that turns into Hilltop. There's only one stop sign coming down west from Ottawa Trail. There's nothing for no stop signs there going across the tar road there. It was gravel road all the way from 11 to Ottawa Trail and then proceeds on to Hilltop, the area that we were just talking about. Cars, I know if even if they went to speed limit, they don't. I mean, they're going 40, 50 miles an hour, early morning hours. Many of us live in blind driveways coming out of there. I have grandchildren that will come up frequently now during the summer, and I just have a very big safety issue with the way traffic is, the more heavy traffic there. Again, I brought up earlier about the Highview campgrounds expanding, and if that brings in more traffic there, I'd minimally like to see that there be a three-way stop sign put in there.
Okay. If I could ask you to do one thing is to basically put that into writing so that we can capture all of your comments and then we can take a look at it.
Will do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else to come up for open forum? Open forum is closed. Mayor and City Council reports. I will have to say that I really enjoyed the conversation. It's good to see people come and getting involved and coming out and expressing their issues. Thank everybody very much for that. I'd like to remind everybody on Saturday, May 6th is going to be a beautiful day, and we're going to have our airport days. So we really want to have everybody coming out for that, and really looking forward. I did have a chance to attend the Minnesota Mayors Association conference on last Thursday and Friday and Saturday. And one of the issues that we had that it does impact our area up here, and I expressed this concern to the director of Explore Minnesota. It's the tourism, one of tourism branches of the state. It has to do with the H-1B visas that are coming out. And if they put a cap on that, it is going to severely limit our the availability of help for the resort as well as the other resorters in the area. That is an issue that can very much be of a concern for our area, in that the viability and the lifeblood of the resorts around here is paramount to our success in the city. Anybody else? Councilman Bakken?
No, sir.
Councilman Ball?
No.
Councilman Mitchell?
No.
Councilman Brony?
No.
I went to you last this time. Administrator and staff reports. We have a 3-2 on sale malt liquor license for Highview Campground. Their license is up for renewal, and it runs from May 7th, 2017 through May 6th, 2018. The proper paperwork has been processed. Chief Merschman has completed the background check. I'll entertain a motion to approve the 3-2 on-site. Second to that motion?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The liquor license is approved. Audit balance transfers. This is a result of our audit where we like to have specific amounts of money. And Joe, why don't you explain this a little bit better than I can?
Sure, we have a policy under GASB 54, cash management policy, and how we handle cash with reserved or undesignated reserves. And we set the bar at 40 to 45% for the general fund. And running through the numbers after the audit, we're in between those thresholds of 40 and 45%, so there's no recommendation to transfer funds to the revolving capital fund. But with the sewer fund, we've also used that 45% threshold. And you can see here the sewer operating fund balance is $209,546. Taking that and using the expenditure budget for 2017. The expenditure budget for the sewer is $413,505. Using the two results, it gives us a difference of $23,469 to be transferred to the sewer capital fund for future capital uses in the sewer.
Any further questions, Councilman Bakken?
No.
Councilman Ball?
No questions.
Councilman Mitchell? Councilman Brony? Entertain a motion to approve Resolution 1711 that would transfer $23,469 from the sewer operating fund to be placed in the sewer operating.
So moved.
Sewer, different
Second.
fund number. Those, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Offer on road, airport road lots. We had a bid to, we had an opportunity to sell some lots up on Airport Road, but my understanding is that offer has been withdrawn. And
The property owner or the applicant, or whatever you want to call them, the person who made the offer has withdrawn the offer.
So,
Personal whatevers.
The offer that we're going to talk about tonight is moot. Public safety roofing quotes. The public safety building has been leaking on and off pretty much ever since it was built, and we've been working on it for quite a while, and we are going to be replacing that roof. We have received quotes from 4 vendors. Newman Construction for, we have 2 different options for 30 and 50-year shingles. Schmidt Roofing, Mike Miller's Roofing, and FixCon Incorporated. Joe, which one were we going to be going with, or we were going to decide here?
You guys need to decide. The low quote is Mike Miller's Roofing, but there was also an issue with, we had requested a lump sum bid, and both Mike's and Newman Construction had put a caveat for sheeting, additional costs for that, and so it's, how do you want to deal with this?
Okay. Joe Zirden, as far as, what is your opinion on these as far as the way you would like to see us go from the standpoint of Public Works, or you have no opinion on it?
I briefly looked at the quotes, and they're not exactly comparable.
That's what I was noticing as well, and that's why I wanted to have you help weigh in on this a little bit.
Sure. It's not uncommon when dealing with contractors, what they decide to replace, like one would be drip edge. A lot of places will, that's automatic, or some facial things are automatic, and others are not. Outside of that, we have had FixCon help us quite a bit on there with several issues. Thank you, Your Worship. Outside of that, it's really your decision on how you like to go on.
Okay. This is kind of one of these deals where we have to make a couple determinations. Do we want to go with the 30-year, or do we want to go with the 50-year?
Certainly you want a 50-year, in my opinion. Someplace in here it said it's 53% heavier or thicker than the 30-year. I think it's in the FixCon. Did FixCon do the roof on this building?
Yes.
They did.
Yep.
And it's been very satisfied with it?
They've done a great job. They did the buildings out of the sewer plant, and they also did this little shelter over here in the last 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm. And that's where I was having a lot of problem from the standpoint of the low bid isn't always necessarily the best bid.
And it's hard to tell with that extra fee.
Sure. Right. So that's an unknown, and my own personal opinion is that FixCon has done a good job for us in the past, and they're competitive with everybody else. With, Newman being the highest, if we're just going to be looking at the 50-year, he's 65, Schmidt is 57, Mike Miller is 48, and FixCon is 56.
I like the fact that they define the shingle quality and.
Yeah. So let's take a straw poll as far as do we want to not go with the low bid? And I'll start with you.
Great.
Okay. Yeah. Councilman Ball.
Yeah, I'm agreeable.
Yeah, I don't especially want to go with the low
Councilman
bid.
Maroney?
What's the exact question you're asking?
Yes, what is straw poll? Just do we not want to go with the low bid strictly?
Yes.
Okay. And in my reading of it, I'll jump out first and say FixCon appears to be the best and most complete bid overall for $56,200, which is the lower of the three. If you eliminate Mike's, because Mike's has the caveat that is essentially open-ended with the square foot charge. Further discussion? Councilman Bakken.
Quick question.
Sure.
My experience with shingles is I've roofed mine 3 times now in 25 years, okay? That's a, whatever, 30-year shingle. And the 50-year shingle, I say the same thing to it, so this is nonsense. I don't believe that. I haven't seen it with my own eyes. Secondly, Joe, I would like to know if you have a recommendation. I rely on your expertise heavy.
As far as the shingle, like the year rating, or the...
Which one do you opt for? Would you opt for? Which not necessarily is going to sway me, but I want to hear what your experience is. Far better than mine.
Sure. Just so I have a limited experience with shingles. Typically, when you're talking a 30-year shingle, they sell them by the square, which covers 100 square feet. 30-year shingle comes in 3 bundles. 50-year shingle will come in 4 or 5, and the bundles are approximately the same size. So what you end up getting is a shingle that's thicker, stiffer, resist wind, that sort of thing, better outside of it lasting longer. Just FYI.
Thank you.
That, so you are getting something more than just a year rating. And as far as the contractors, I've only dealt with Jason when we've had these, and he was very good to work with. He arrived promptly. Most of the time, he did not charge us, which because he felt he couldn't guarantee the work, so that kind of killed me. If we did have problems down the road, I think he'd stand behind it. The other contractors I haven't worked with, but they have good reputations as far as I'm aware.
Thank you. One last question. What's your opinion of a metal roof?
They're quite a bit more expensive.
I understand that in my limited knowledge.
Generally, you're looking, this is 11 years ago, and asphalt shingles usually would be in the $30 range. Metal would jump up to 70 plus, so you're looking almost double the cost. They have issues as well. I mean, steel can be dented, paint does fade, and there's no repainting steel.
Thank you. That's all I need. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Okay. So I'll entertain a motion.
You finish the discussion.
Okay, Councilman Paul.
I don't have any other questions or
Okay.
comments.
Councilman Mitchell.
No, I'm inclined to go with that fixed con.
Okay. Councilman Maroney.
My question, and I don't know roofs, and this is where I get that. Between the 30 and 50, besides being thicker, do we have a warranty at 50 years then? Or what is that?
It's generally a prorated limited warranty. That's, the weasel words there is it's prorated over the life of the shingle, so it goes down. At 49 years, you're gonna get like $1.95 in warranty.
Okay, all right, that makes a little bit more sense. My follow-up question would be, we have budgeted $52,000 for this year's budget. Joe, if we did decide to go with a 50-year, that is an additional $4,200 outside of our budget. Do we have funds for that?
We will take it out of future improvements in the revolving capital fund, no problem.
Okay.
Any further questions, comments?
No, sir.
Okay. I will entertain a motion to go with Fixcon Roofing for the 50-year rated shingles for $56,200.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Fixcon is approved. Walk and roll packer purchase. Joe, you want to give us, this looks like an awesome machine.
Can I use that on my shoreline? I'm sorry.
Is this something we had budgeted for?
Yes.
Okay.
This was budgeted for in 2016. I believe I budgeted the road committee budgeted $35,000 in 2016 for this. And what this is doing is I'm trying to make things as efficient as we can. Cut our redundancy. Right now we're grading, I think, more than we have to, because sometimes when you start grading a road, conditions get dry. Before, let's say if we grade a road today, there's not enough traffic to sufficiently pack the road, and it dries out in the freshly graded look where everything's loose. Without traffic in 2 or 3 days, it can totally dry out. That leads to dust, which the dust is a vital component of the gravel road, keeping it firm. This is something, and it's something we're working towards to basically cut our grading time down. I mean, theoretically, we could see 50% less grading, but I'd be very happy if it was 20%, and then we would see a payback. And on top of the payback, we probably have better performing gravel roads. It's something we're trying to improve.
Okay. Does this just get used on the gravel roads or on shoulders as well?
It can be used for shoulders. An addition is when we're building roads up, adding like a significant amount of gravel, say more than an inch or two, we're able to compact it instead of dump it with the trucks. And typically, when you dump gravel and it's say over an inch, if it doesn't get packed down and you get a rain, it can be very muddy. It's not packed, so it doesn't shed water. It absorbs it. We have a lot of roads that need gravel added, and it's a long-term process for us. I mean, we work within our budget year to year, but the last couple paving road projects is going to benefit our remaining gravel roads. So something we'd like to work on starting this year, but more so years down the road.
Okay. You got the explanation. I'll entertain a motion to purchase the walk and roll packer for $33,920.
So moved.
Second? Second. Further discussion? Councilman Hawkins?
Briefly, do we get the Caterpillar with that too, pushing that thing?
No.
We already have one.
Oh, okay.
And as a side note, this attachment,
A little
pretty
levity.
easy to retrofit to further machines because there's not a lot of moving components to it. It should have a pretty long lifespan.
Thank you.
And you can add weight to it and stuff like that if you
It
so desire.
transfers the machine weight. Hydraulically, it actually lifts the grader.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Not off the ground, but it transfers the weight of the machine
Onto the packer.
Yep.
Very interesting. Councilman Ball?
No, I was just going to say that's a good explanation though, because I actually thought it was the entire thing in the picture, so.
I was being a
Good
little.
to know it's just
I cleared
maybe
up.
that would have been a really good deal for it.
You're not a tractor person. Councilman
never
Mitchell?
bought one.
Yeah, I just want to compliment Joe on the research he did on all this. Earlier, we had talked about one that trails and follows, and when Joe talked to the salesman at Caterpillar, the guy said you actually don't need that. So we saved, I don't know, what, $1,600 or $1,800 by not doing that particular thing. And there is one question. This looks like it could be. Could this be used on asphalt if there was ever a reason? Or?
Possibly. It's something we could experiment with. For skin patching with hot patch. The only issue would be is if the hot patch sticks to the tires. And we're going to try it. It'll be one of those things we'll try it and see how
Okay.
that would be beneficial. We try to do that in the future.
Councilman Maroney?
Nothing.
All those in favor of purchasing the pack and roll?
Aye.
Walk and roll packer?
Aye.
Purchase is approved. Next order of business is the police paramedic program, and talking with Chief Merschman, the only thing that has changed in this agreement is the dates. So everything else is exactly the same, and this runs for a 2-year period, starting April 21st, 2017 through April 21st, 2019. Chief, do you want to add anything to this? Okay.
It's been inspected in 2005.
Okay. Okay. Entertain a motion to approve the agreement between the city, Breezy Point, and North Memorial. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Further discussion. Councilman Bakken?
No, sir.
Councilman Ball?
No.
You're a lawyer. You're supposed to read this.
I did read it.
Very good.
It's very well written.
She didn't have any check marks.
I had no
Councilman Mitchell? Councilman Maroney?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The agreement between City of Breezy Point and North Memorial is approved. And that completes our business for tonight. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.